Innovative content. Global audience.
Hello, you're welcome to SRTV London. This is Abuja. And my name is Kenneth Paul. This is People and Politics. Like I told you yesterday, we'll continue the discussion around the general election with the presidential candidates in view. And yesterday we had someone from the All Progressive Congress to come talk about the candidates. And today we have another young person with us today to look at the candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the upcoming election. I'm talking about His Excellency Dr. Atiku Abubakar. And I will meet today in the studio, please.
Tengu Gideon Luther.
Mr. Tengu, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I would like to call you Mr. Gideon so that I don't get confused in name.
It's fine.
Oh, that's good. So, Mr. Gideon, what exactly are you to the People's Democratic Party?
I am the Director of Public Affairs for PDP New Generation. We are a movement, a group under the PDP campaign youth, that's the presidential campaign youth wing. So we are canvassers, grassroots canvassers, mobilizers for the Atiku presidency.
Okay, now you see the 2023 election is going to be a peculiar one. Most analysts have said that this would be the election that would define the movement, or rather the future of the republic that we find ourselves called Nigeria. It is unique in the sense that we have 3 contestants. Some would say 4 if we put in NNPP candidate in view, but I would want to stick on 3, being the fact that His Excellency Dr. Atiku Abubakar was a former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We also have Mr. Ahmed Tinubu, who was also a former governor in Nigeria, of Lagos State anyway. We also have Dr. Peter Obi, also a former governor of the Anambra State in Nigeria State. Now, these candidates are people who command a lot of following in their respective states and in their most would say tribal or ethnic ethnic group as it is. Now, your candidate is an Hausa man, a Fulani man. What are his chances in this upcoming election, sir?
His chances are very bright.
You think so?
Yes, they are very bright. Because if you're looking at the candidates on the ballot, Atiku is the most experienced. He's the most, he's the unifier. He's the one that everyone in the country can identify with. If you go to the south, he has people there because they've seen what he has offered to the country in his capacity as the vice president, working with Olusegun Obasanjo. So if you come to the north, that's his stuff. So you can't argue with that. So I believe he's the best candidate on offer.
Well, while I can argue with that, I also can argue that your candidate has lost, is it 3 times now, going for this seat? What has changed? What can we say has become different in the other times that he has contested and lost in these elections?
Well, I don't know as far as I'm concerned, he didn't lose the last election.
But boy, he did.
No, he didn't lose.
In the polls and also in court, he lost.
Well, you can say that, but this is Nigeria. We know what happens here.
But we're looking at facts here now in this station.
Well, facts can be wrong depending on how you present them.
Well, to me, I have a feeling. I don't know how you want to see it. Maybe because you're a member of the People's Party and you want to have your say as per that it is your party. But I know that the last election he lost at the polls, and he went to the court of a proper competence to seek for a judgment to nullify the elections, which he could not get. And at the end of the day, the court said that the rightful winner of the election was His Excellency Muhammad Buhari. So I don't know where you're getting your own facts from. Are you saying the court did not offer a good judgment to
the courts will be the courts. I'm not going to speak down on the courts, but what I'd say is our justice system is flawed. So to get justice in Nigeria is near to impossible. You recall that prior to the election, there was a call by all Nigerians, all well-meaning Nigerians, for the president to sign the Electoral Act. He didn't do that. He didn't sign that bill. He only waited until he used the lacunas in our electoral system to come to power before he now signed it.
But when you talk about the lacunas, what exactly are you trying to imply when you say the lacunas? That is the big word. What the lacunas? Where are you trying to take us with that word lacunas?
Well, you can see it from the introduction of the beavers, and you can see the intention of the APC. The APC governor in Imo State went to court, or rather allegedly sent people to institute a court case to say that INEC should not use beavers in the upcoming elections. That should tell you, that the APC know, and they are scared of where Nigerians will go, the direction Nigerians are going, and they know that Nigerians are with the PDP.
Now I still want to take you back to your word. You say Nigerians are with the PDP.
They are.
But I don't think if the PDP is with the PDP. I say this, categorically, looking at the fact that the PDP itself is fighting. Now, when I say the PDP is not with the PDP, I'm trying to draw a phrase from His Excellency Mr. Ezebunmonyeso Wike, the governor of Rivers State, who, as it is now, is in the PDP, but from all indications, he is not in the PDP. And this is because your candidate, Doctor, or rather His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the way he emerged as a winner in the last primaries of his party, why not in question he emerged in a free and fair contest? Now the question is the PDP united enough to run for this election? Do you think the PDP is still the PDP, or do we have a faction of the PDP that is not in the PDP, sir?
Well, the PDP is the PDP. We don't have a faction in the PDP.
But as it is, some part of the PDP are not with the PDP.
No. Before you can, allude to a party having factions, there need to be two chairmen. We only have one chairman in the PDP. There has to be two secretaries. We only have one.
But you have one unpopular chairman in the PDP.
It's not.
Where he is, I know that the governor of your state is not backing him. I know that the governor of Abia State is not backing him. I can categorically tell you that the governor of Enugu State is not with him, as much as the governor of Enugu, or the governor of River State, and also the governor of Cross River State are not with him. So how can you tell me that this is a popular chairman when a large part of the PDP, which we know that the southern Nigeria has always been a stronghold of the PDP, are not with him? So it means that either this chairman is a chairman for some people in the PDP, or is a chairman for a part of the PDP that do not want to identify with him.
No, that's not true. Dr. Iyochiayu is a chairman for all PDP. People lose elections and they move on. Some people don't move on. Barrister Ezewo Wike, he lost the primaries, and since then he has been fighting everybody in the party, fighting the candidates, fighting the chairman, because he felt he brought him in, and the man they end up supporting him. Well, I just want to say those ones, they will come back on board. They'll come back on board. The governor of Oyo State, Makinde, the governor of Benue, Otom, Ibazu, Wanye, they will all come back on board. Politics is noisy. You must have, you don't expect people to follow one train. People must complain, and that's the beauty of democracy within the PDP. People are allowed to air their grounds, people are allowed to air their views, air their displeasures and whatnot. In the APC, it's not like that. In the APC, you can see from them picking their chairman, they just went to Aso Rock, and the president pointed one person and said that's the chairman, and everybody went home. That doesn't happen in the PDP. The PDP does not operate that way.
Well, why you want to say the way the PDP operates, I also want to make a reference to the fact that the People's Democratic Party, which you support, had before now said that they were going to zone the presidency to a particular region. I'll say categorically the southeastern region, having been that they have not been able to test power in the People's Democratic Party. Now, you said the PDP is a democratic party, and I believe that was a democratic decision of the People's Democratic Party then, though you might start to correct me. But I want to tell you that how was it possible that the PDP never stood by their decision to produce a southern president, or rather a presidential candidate from the south, but the Progressive Congress, like you said, they said they were going to do it to the south, and we'll have a southern candidate for them, but the PDP has nothing of the south in them. How can you not be able to relate and say that the People's Democratic Party is democratic in this dispensation?
First of all, I'd like to correct you. The PDP never said it will zone its presidential ticket to the south. The PDP has a constitution, and that constitution allows for rotation. Now, if you go back and check the presidents we've had, you ask yourself, how many presidents have come out of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP? We've had Dr. Olusegun Obasanjo.
Who was a southerner?
He was a southerner. You've had Ebele Jonathan. He was a southerner.
Well, after Olusegun Obasanjo, someone else took power. That was Umaru Musa Yar'Adua.
Yes, but how long did he stay?
He was a northerner.
For how long?
But he was a northerner.
No, he was a northerner, but he stayed in office for 3 years. Now, if you're looking at the presidency, you check how long those from the south have had a shot at the presidency, and you check how long those at the north have had the presidency. The south takes it. So it's,
But sir, sorry sir, I don't want to cut you off, but one thing I know, that the facts will speak for itself, and the fact that we have right now says that after the presidency of His Excellency Dr. Olusegun Obasanjo, which was for the 80s, the next person that took power was His Excellency Mr. Umaru Musa Yar'Adua of late memory, and when he fell down, or rather when he left the seat due to ill health and then eventually death, which we will always celebrate his presidency. He was taken over by Dr. Ebele Goodluck Jonathan, and when Mr. Jonathan left the power went back to the north through Mr. Buhari, who is actually the president, and I think it's expected that power should also roll back again to the southern part of Nigeria. But I think the People's Democratic Party did not keep, like you said, in their constitution of rotation of power. They in fact, if there's anything they have done this time around, I put it to you, sir, is that the People's Democratic Party has not kept to his own constitution by producing a northern presidential candidate.
The PDP and the APC do not have a bio commission. They do not have a bio commission where you say anything the APC does is bound, binding on the PDP.
But you said your constitution permits the rotation of power.
Yeah, it permits it permits the rotation of power within the PDP. We do not operate the PDP under using the Nigerian constitution. We operate the PDP using the PDP constitution, and the PDP constitution says that there must be power rotation. Now, if you go to this power rotation, how many times have northerners become president under the PDP?
Is it a matter of time, or is it a matter of who was there the last time?
Yes, it's a matter of time, and that's why we have 10 years. That's why you have 10 years. It's a matter of time, because you can't say, oh, somebody come and rule us for a year and you say, oh, he has become president, I should leave. No, it's a matter of time.
Well, if you want to bring in the time in place, sir, I would like to also tell you that before now, if you want to say the years, or rather the time frame, that means the Northerners have actually been in power the longest, because you might want to bring in the fact that we had during the military regime, we had Mr. Sani Abacha, we had IBB, we had a lot of Northern people who had tested power, including the present president. Now, are you writing that off as no longer being part of the history of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or are you saying that in the present dispensation of the democratic era of the Nigerian government, that is where you're counting from now, sir?
Yes, Nigeria runs a democracy. We are not in the military.
But Nigeria is Nigeria, sir.
Nigeria is Nigeria, but there was a reason why we went from having those regime changes, those military eras, to having a democracy, so we could have stability. And now we have that stability. So you cannot bring something that made us unstable and try to put it in the equation, because that distorts everything, and it just makes a mess of everything.
Well, away from the issue of zoning and the issue of passing power from a region to a region, now let's look at the policies of your candidate. Do you believe, sincerely speaking, that your candidate, His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, is going by his policies, or rather his manifesto, the best presidential candidate that Nigeria will get right now?
Yes. Dr. Ebele Jonathan laid a blueprint. He was doing very well before we went to wherever we went to bring the person that brought us to where we are today. And I feel like the best person to take us out of that is Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Reason being that if you check and see the antecedents, if you look at the first person that bought their phone to aspire to be president, Atiku was the first person that went to do their clearance with INEC, Atiku was the first person to bring out their manifesto. Some people have not even brought out their own manifesto. The candidate of the Labour Party, said he was going to bring his yesterday, and something came out, and he came out and denied it because he saw the backlash that he had from that manifesto. It was flawed. The manifesto from page 1 to page 28 was a biography of the man and his deputy, his vice, sorry. So it was in shambles. And when Atiku rolled out his own manifesto, you could see the plaudits, you could see the applause, you could see how happy people were. You understand? So, and going back, there's no country on the face of the earth that runs without good institutions. Going back, Atiku was vice president in this country, working with Olusegun Obasanjo. Olusegun Obasanjo was always champion. You could go back and check. Atiku was in charge of the economic team, and we didn't have this much inflation. Inflation is in the double digits right now. We never had that with the PDP presidency. The dollar was 150, 180. Now it's over 700% up. You understand? So going back, you ask yourself, the APC and the PDP, put them side by side, and a lot of people that support the ruling party will come and whip out figures from nowhere. But the thing is, it's very easy to whip out figures and sound really smooth, deceiving people. But check the lives of the people. How much are they buying bag of rice? How much are they buying bag of rice? How much are they paying for water? What's the electricity tariff like? The last time I checked, the tariff was increased over 80%. The salary of the average Nigerian remains the same, but the cost of food keeps spiking. So how do you expect Nigerians to cope with this?
Now, looking at that, can you tell us categorically the manifesto plan of your candidates to remove Nigeria from the poverty headquarters, or rather poverty, a well-known place for poverty right now as it is, to become a developed country? Can you tell us categorically how your candidate wants to do that?
Well, for one, security is paramount in building up the economy. Atiku Abubakar, if you check his policy document, it's online, you can check. He has been advocating for state policing for a long time.
Do you think he can implement that?
Yes, he can. Why not? He can.
But he was a vice president, like you said. He headed the economic team for probably the 8 years of the Olusegun Obasanjo administration. Why was it that he never proposed to do that during that 8 years? What has changed?
I'm happy you brought it up because he actually proposed. If you check online, there's a document to that effect. There's a proposal that he sent in 2006 that was not, it was not implemented for whatever reason, probably because they were leaving power then. But if you check, there's a proposal.
He was in power before 2006. What was the reason for keeping that? Because this is the same problem I have with the previous candidate of your party, Dr. Ebele Goodluck Jonathan, who was in power up until some months to leave power. He converged the Sovereign National Conference. But he was in power for over how many years, and he never did that. So why is it that it looks like they package the problem of the nation, and when they think they're about to leave, they just drop it on the table for the next man to take it?
Government is a continuum, and whether they brought it a year before they left, 2 years before they left, the most important thing is there was an intention to do it. They identified the problem, and that thing has been there. Nobody has paid attention to it. From 2007 up to this point, we've had other presidents. Nobody has paid attention to it. So, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar is coming, to implement that. Because why we have this rising insecurity in this country is because most of the governors don't have a say in the security of their state. And,
of course, I believe that.
And they don't, and they answer the chief security officers of their state.
They control anybody.
They do what?
They don't control anybody.
They don't control anybody. Now, if you go and check the councils, I put up on Facebook recently. If you check the security council, you check the police council, you check I think there are 5 councils since 1999 that have been set up. 5 major councils that consist of these are governors, ministers, and so on and so forth. The governors are not on the Security Council. So how are they answering the chief security officer of their states when they are not on the Security Council? It's an answer that begs. It's a question that begs answer. Because you cannot say somebody is the chief security officer of their state and Security Council. A security meeting is being held, they are not there. So how do they know? Okay, probably they hold. And recently we heard that there was a terrorist scare in Abuja. We heard there was bomb threats and all that. When they called the security meeting, it was the FCT minister.
Definitely, he was not.
He was not there, and he superintends over the FCT. He answers. He's not a governor, but let's apply it to other states. If it was Benue State, for instance, where we have all this killing, they will hold a security meeting, and the governor is not there, and he says he's the chief security officer of the state. It doesn't make any sense. Atiku is coming to change all that. He's coming to, decentralize this power, take it down to the state and the local government level.
Why you say he's coming to change all that? This conversation is actually looking at precedents before we talk about what's going to happen in the future.
Yes.
I think there has been a certain, if I should say, belief that probably your candidate most times is not a man of his words. I will use this to say because I could remember that during or rather when they had the crisis in the Lekki toll gate during the NSAS issue, he put up a tweet, and in the space of 2 minutes he deleted that tweet and denied the statement. In fact, this is not just the first time. That we've had other times that statements that come from him, or rather through his media aides, and at the end of the day he said this is not coming from him. So how do we know that when he gets to power, he will not say, these are not the things I said. Even the documents, I did not write it. So how can you hold me liable to this? But because looking at his manifesto, which I have looked at, is a wonderful piece. No sentiments on that. A very wonderful one. If he can actually execute that, it's something that Nigerians should be happy about.
Yes.
But the problem is, how do we know that he is a man of his words? Now let me just take you back. That your candidate has rarely been in the country for the past 4 years. He's always known to live in Dubai.
That's not true.
But he is known to even have. He always known to stay in Dubai. So how do we relate him to what is happening in the country?
Atiku, you can go and check his flight logs, and I think the last time he spoke on that, he said people that want to come and see his flight logs, you can send them to them. Now, Atiku has never spent more than 3 weeks outside this country since he lost that election. In politics, people push a lot of propagandas. They said, "Oh, Atiku in Dubai, Atiku in Dubai." It's not a crap. Atiku is not the only Nigerian that goes to Dubai.
Definitely, but the question is, is he relating to what happens in this country?
He is, and like I was saying before about the institutions in this country, if you go back and check, most of these institutions that we have today, the success we've had in the telecommunication industry is credit to Atiku. If you go back and check what he did with Nitel, you can go back and check. Now, Atiku, brought about ICPC, and when he felt like ICPC was having too much loads on his hands, they created EFCC. All those were policies that were laid out by Atiku. Those were policy formulations of Atiku, not even the president at the time. You can go and check. You can go and verify.
Well, you're using the word verify now, and I think most times I have an issue with that word verify, because most times the facts are not even there for us to verify it. But if we want to look at the fact on ground concerning your candidate, in fact, it is also a kind of I won't say well known, but it's a belief among some populace of Nigeria that when he headed the privatization committee of the federal government, that he used that opportunity to acquire a lot of federal government assets for himself, and this
like what?
Well, you just called a few of them. You called them the 99 posts. You called, and these assets, they failed after the government pumped in billions into them, and then when they were sold for some very little, peanuts. And most times I won't want to say, because I'm on air, I want to say things that I'm not too or I don't have evidence on. But it is a myth around him. If you vote with the truth of yourself, there is a myth. You could call it propaganda, but there is a myth around him that he